So that's a little bit about church life there that we experienced. Lori?
Ralph and Alita are involved in a whole lot of facets of ministry, um, one of which one of the significant ones is this child sponsorship program, which we're going to tell you about. But they are about more than just helping people out of poverty. They would like to see people come to Jesus and see lives transformed. And they know that the way lives are transformed is by coming to Jesus. And so they have some efforts that they do to really pour more significantly into a small group of kids. They have a boys' small group and a girls' small group that meets once a week at their home. And these boys and girls are 13 to 15 years old. And so they're really being intentional to work with these kids. While we were there, we sat in on the lesson. Ralph taught a lesson on idolatry, changed it up a little based on the kinds of things boys would find as idols or the things girls would find as idols. They're teaching kids, each child has a Bible. They're teaching kids to be able to look up the scriptures in the Word of God, to read them out loud, to pray out loud. And so this is us at the Ralph and Alita's kitchen table. With the boys group, and you can see they're all really engaged in looking through. And the next picture kind of shows some of their faces. We came to really love these boys and are committed to praying that God will do a work. Some of them may know Christ, some of them may not. But Ralph and Alita are really being intentional about pouring into these boys. And there's a group photo that we took at the end with them. And then we did the same thing several days later with the girls group. And when we had the girls group, the power went out. So got dark, but Ralph and Alita are prepared, and they had an instant like LED lantern that they put on the table and just continued right on with the lesson. The girls in the group are very affectionate. They really, especially with Alita, they just love her, and even with me, one of the girls there, the one that's next to Alita, Jasuri, was just a little sweetheart who just wanted to hug and wanted to put her hand on you, and just a sweet girl. And they're hoping that the girls will continue to show more interest in spiritual things. They see more of that in the boys group, but they meet regularly with these girls. And after the time of study, then they have a time of fun. And there's some pictures here with the girls. They got beads out, and we're making bracelet beads and different kinds of things, creative things. That's one of the things that they do. Another thing that we did with the boys was got out the Uno cards and played Uno. And Uno's a great game to play when you don't have language skills, because you can just see the colors and the numbers and follow along. So we had a lot of fun playing Uno with the boys. And so we're really committed to praying for these small groups of kids, that they'll stay in school. Most of them have graduated from 9th grade and are planning to go on to high school, which is not necessarily common for a lot of kids. And that they will just really encounter Jesus in this time that they spend weekly with Ralph and Alita, and that is the thing that will transform their lives. Another ministry that Ralph and Alita have to help kids is a reading club. They meet once a week at the church's fellowship hall, and you can see they have 2 cabinets full of books. And interestingly enough, they had a supporter who decided she was going to take the reins on figuring out how to get them books in Spanish. And so she, here in the States, she went to yard sales and bought books. And then she brought the books home, typed in all of the text into Google Translate, translated in Spanish, printed it out, and taped it in every single book. And so these kids have several hundred books that they can come once a week, and they set up tables, and there's an adult at each table, and the kids just read for an hour and a half. They can pick books. And Curt was working with a little boy while we were there, and I was at a table with several girls. 2 of them were independent readers, so they just kept getting books and reading books. And then I was working with a little girl named Itzel, and she was probably 1st or 2nd grade and a struggling reader. And I know enough about Spanish to be able to help a 1st grader. So, but Itzel was really into princess books. I think we read every princess book in the whole library, which was kind of cool for me since I had all boys and I've got all grandsons. So I got my fill of princess books when I was helping Itzel with her reading. Ralph and Alita work very hard to keep kids in school. And they keep in touch with teachers and principals to keep track of how kids are doing. They require report cards and end-of-year certificates in order for kids to continue their sponsorship. A reading club like this doesn't have to be just sponsored kids. Any kids can come. But particularly with their sponsored kids, they work hard to really help the kids stay in school and grow in that way.
Yeah.